fanboys and fangirls, and welcome to another episode of Running Down the Mid. I'm Exile, and with me as always is Funzy. We're just going to get right into it. Starting off, we're going to talk about C9 and how they have retained being on top. Now, granted, it's only 2 weeks into the season, and there is a whole lot of season left to go, and a whole lot of this split left to go. But they're playing pretty flawlessly.
They had some clean games, and they also had some lucky breaks, if you ask me. Some of the plays that seem to fall into the right place at the right time. Also, just good outplays by Impact in the top lane.
Yeah, so I want to... when I talk about C9, I want to talk about C9 like FlyQuest as well. Like they were Samsung White and Samsung Blue, because really the correlation between Samsung White and Samsung Blue it seems evident in C9 and FlyQuest and how they play and how they draft. C9 is incredibly well coached. Reapered is an incredible coach. He has coached that team flawlessly, and I think they win on 90% of their matches in their picks and bans. Now, the one match that they give up, or the matches that they do lose, they blindly pick an Azir out there thinking it's going to dominate, and then it gets counterpicked, and then it all goes to bust. But other than that, like holding on to things like a Katarina at the end, and last picking that. You've seen Jensen on Fizz. You've just seen a lot of champions that nobody else out there in the LCS is playing right now. C9 is really dominating in the champ select stage because they're doing a lot of things that nobody else is doing. I don't want to say they're out of meta. They're just off rhythm. And I don't think that a lot of teams are prepared for that. I mean, you can prepare for the what-if scenarios, but when you don't know what if C9 is going to throw at you, it's really hard to prepare for that, and I think that that's really the key to them winning right now is through their strong laning phase and through Jensen's crazy picks.
Also, there's a lot of coordination. The key to the shot calling that's coming out of Smoothie in the bot lane is definitely helping this team stay ahead of the other teams. It just seems like his shot calling and getting the jungle into the right place, getting the team fights that they want, fighting them in the certain situations. You saw that fight in the top lane where they pulled back, kind of baiting the team in, just to close on them in a gap, or to get Flame to kind of bring himself away from his team so that they can tear him down. Just being so tanky, you have to do that. You have to focus him, and then they just use that time to jump on the rest of the back line. So this team is definitely firing on all cylinders right now, and it definitely shows that it's not just the Jensen game or, this game that Sneaky won or that time Contracts got a quadra kill. Well, that does happen, but it's definitely a team game, and they're playing it on every level.
Yeah, it's fascinating that you mentioned Smoothie as a shot caller, because that, I think, is an incredible storyline all on its own, all by itself. I mean, he's brand new to the team, and a famous YouTuber once said, and I believe it was Foxdrop, and he was quoting somebody else, so I don't know where the original quote came from, but he said, League of Legends is 2 games. Game number 1 is the game itself, and then game number 2 is the game of busted hearts and broken egos. And I think C9 is playing with 0 ego. To have somebody as new as Smoothie is to the team, and to be their main voice in shot calling, that is a huge leadership role. And it's normally reserved for somebody that's been on the team the longest. You had high shot calling. Last year you had media shot calling with all of his experience. And then Smoothie it was a smooth transition step up into that role. So, I mean, he's shot calling. So you have a new guy shot calling. You have a new guy jungler, and everything is flowing right. I really feel like the ego part of the game, the second part of League of Legends, C9 has truly mastered. Granted, it is extremely early into the season, and it's only week 2. They look really, really smooth right now. I mean, Impact is Impact, and he's able to stay up top lane and get dimed on and not die, and he does such a good job with what the team needs, and you just have such strong laning presence, and then Contracts is just so methodical and so patient. He's aggressive when he needs to be aggressive, and he backs off when he doesn't need to be aggressive. I mean, he has such a good understanding. His mechanics and his understanding of the game is really showing really, really well, and I'm incredibly impressed. Granted, I am a C9 fanboy through and through, and I love C9, but to see them perform so well, it seems like right now between top and the next person in line, there seems to be quite a big gap in between C9 and everybody else, and it's incredibly impressive.
Yeah, and from what I understand, FlyQuest, back when they were the challenger team, they scrimmed nothing but C9. They couldn't get the scrims that they could get at being a top-tier team from the other teams, like Immortals and TSM aren't going to take them serious because they're just a challenger team. So they almost exclusively just practiced against C9, and because of that, I think that made them all that much more stronger. Yeah. I mean, FlyQuest is not just anybody's team. I mean, that's a whole bunch of veteran players with lots of experience. So they're a strong team in their own right. But that, I think, is what pushed C9. And you kind of saw that in that first match against TSM, where it just seemed like they knew what they were doing, they knew the lanes, they knew what their job was, and they came out and executed it.
So, if we're just going to go ahead, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. If you talk about C9 being the number one team, second place would be FlyQuest, TSM, and P1. They're all tied, all at 3-1. Nobody's real surprised to see TSM up there. Even with their slow start, I think everybody was surprised at the slow start. But again, with it being League 2, TSM's really just picked up right where they left off. Bjerg and the boys are just really dominant. But if we're going to talk about FlyQuest, their pick and ban strategy is the exact same as C9. You can tell that they used to be their challenger team because they also have those weird picks mid where people aren't ready for that. And High's champion pool is so large that there isn't a way, like even with 5 bans, you couldn't ban him completely out. And if you try to focus banning High down, you're going to let somebody else get their number 1 pick, their number 2 pick, and then you have everybody else on their team to contend with. And I mean, truly, with Moon playing as phenomenal as he is, Moon's playing great. Balls is very steady. Lemonation and High are dual sharing the shot calling. And you have Alltech down bottom. FlyQuest is really looking great. And they consistently get better. Now, they did drop a game, and they dropped a game to Echo Fox, but Echo Fox is also on the upswing. And, losses are going to happen. You can't go throughout the season, unbeaten. It's just really hard to do. But I think, FlyQuest is like the boys that are always hungry. They had no home. Now they have a home. They had no food. Now they have food. They had no jerseys. That week 1 was sad. They were just wearing T-shirts with like iron-on FlyQuest, and you felt really bad for them. Yes. At least this week they have like the golden jerseys. Yes. They look real. They look like a real team. Yeah, they look like a real team. And I mean, it was like if me and you and a couple of our friends wanted to start an LCS team, that's what we would look like.
I'm pretty sure the amount of experience on that team, they knew they were a real team. It did help though when they finally got their own gaming house, yeah, and they got groceries and everything was back to being in the swing of things. And it's definitely going to show if they're this good playing at a handicap. What are they going to be like in late season? I mean, they know what it takes to be a top-tier team and the pressure and the stress that you go through as it progresses, because there's kind of an exhaustion period because you're going to play a lot of games now.
Yeah.
And towards the second half of the split, it's going to show who can sustain that and keep giving the numbers that they need to be a professional player.
Yeah, so they played 4 matches now. Everybody has 16 left to go. It's a very long split. But when you listen to, all the announcers, all the shot callers, everybody at Riot and shot casting for NA LCS, they all talk about FlyQuest like they're lower tier, like they're bottom of the barrel, like they're washed up and has been.
That's because any challenger team that's ever come on the market has always flopped.
It's very reminiscent. It's very reminiscent of how everybody for like the last 5 years of Peyton Manning's career called him washed up. And then he would go out and throw 7 touchdowns in one game, and it's like, oh, well, that normally doesn't happen. And then he wins a Super Bowl, and it's like, oh, that doesn't happen. Then he goes back and wins another Super Bowl, and it's like, you keep on dogging on this guy, and at some point, they're going to have to say, you know what, FlyQuest is a legit team. They're here to stay, and, they have good-looking jerseys. So, bravo to them. Bravo to them all the way around.
And they gave a solid performance. Even in the game against Echo Fox, it was a longer game. And there was just some misplays, and especially around High's aggressive tendencies. He went in a little too far trying to secure that kill and just didn't have the power to secure it. And that stuff can be like I said, that stuff can be tapered. That stuff is going to be learned. Now that they have their own gaming house and they can practice as a team, you're going to see improvement there.
But also, you can't just say that their loss to Echo Fox was purely on them.
No.
You have to give credit to Echo Fox because Echo Fox has been dominating the beginning of the games, middle of games. They've just had no late game presence. And now they finally figured out and had a good late game and beat a good team. And it just shows that also Echo Fox and everybody else is progressing.
Well, I'll give them that. I'm looking forward to seeing them in the rest of the split because I think FlyQuest has what it takes to be a top-tier team, and I think they're only going to get better. Okay, that's going to take us into TSM, Team Solo Mid, Bjerg and the boys, Hanser and the crew, Sven Skaren and the gang. I don't know.
No, you can't say Sven and the gang. It's definitely Bjerg and the boys, but, oh, man. Anytime that TSM tries to do anything outside of put all their resources into Bjerg, they don't win their matches. To win, you have to funnel everything through Bjerg. They should change the name to Bjerg Solo Mid or just Bjerg Mid because that team is all Bjerg-centric. It's Bjerg-related. And other teams pick up on that because Team Liquid constantly was invading their jungle, trying to deny them blues, putting it on their mids so that Bjerg didn't have that extra resource. That extra resource he needed to stay in lane. It didn't help him. It didn't stop him that much.
Sven Skaren, though, definitely helped. I mean, you did see him funnel a lot more pressure into the mid lane because he knew that securing a first blood there or getting a kill for Bjergsen was going to definitely help carry. But they had great plays in the top lane. They had good pressure in the jungle. All that stuff led to them taking objectives a lot easier.
It does, but you can't say that if they gave all the attention that they give Bjerg to, let's say they give it all to Hanser, you're going to have the exact same output in the game. It's just, no, it's not going to happen. Hanser doesn't play carry tops. He's never been a carry top laner. He's good with those top lane tanks. So if you can't give the attention to Hanser, where are you going to take that attention? To Wild Turtle? To Biofrost? They haven't really been producing. Granted, it's only week 2, but they haven't been producing that well. So you can't give those resources to them. So literally, do you keep it for yourself if you're Sven and try to carry from yourself?
No, but I mean,
or do you give them to
when
Bjerg?
you've got a Bjergsen in the mid lane, you obviously want to feed the Bjerg. Because
you got to feed the
that'd be
beast.
like saying that, does SKT give Faker kills? Nah, Faker's good enough that he doesn't need kills.
He is. I don't think SKT gives Faker anything. He takes what he wants. Faker's in a completely different creature. He's in a realm all to his own.
Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying. You obviously
I
play to your strengths. And they looked a lot cleaner this game. They looked better as a team. They looked like they were on the same page. They definitely have some work to be done in the bot lane. It's not unheard of to have a soft bot lane. I mean, look at other teams. TL, soft bot lane.
No, the softest bot lane.
Yeah,
that is
and they're still a good team. I'm just saying that when you have a Bjerg in the mid lane, you definitely feed the Bjerg. But they look solid. And Bjerg's IQ with those realm warps was just ridiculous.
It was beyond impressive. I haven't been, it reminded me of when Inori last split played Rengar jungle against TSM. It was amazing.
And it's not like this is like a pick that nobody ever plays. They play Rise. Every team plays Rise.
But nobody uses realm warps like that. That realm warp. So the first realm warp carrying the minions into the tower so the minions take tower aggro and burning that tower down. Impressive. And then instead of trying to push their luck and try to get a team fight right there, they immediately back out. And they're like, oh, okay, they're going to retreat, go spend some gold or whatever. But they back out and realm warp right into Baron, which is incredibly impressive. Because the other team didn't even realize they were there until it was way too late. So now they have Baron uncontested. So what do? They slide to Elder Dragon and they lose a team fight. They've taken way too much damage. They're trying to push their luck and they lose 2 guys. And they skate out. And so the other team's like, man, we get this Elder Dragon uncontested. We go back.
Free Elder Dragon.
We go back. We clear our base. Throw some Zerots up.
Bjergsen's thinking free Nexus.
And literally he goes, all right, you know what? We got this Baron buff. Let's not waste it. Realm Warp's in for a 3rd time. His 3rd Realm Warp in a row. And right into Nexus. By the time they got there, doing their recalls back, or just trying to pinch them, it was over with. It was way too late. It was just way too late. It was incredibly impressive. And you know that they have such a huge following that right after they do that, every TSM fanboy logs into League with their little TSM icon and all start up as Rise mid, and we're gonna realm warp our ways to victory.
I'm pretty sure that broke Twitter. I'm saying
It almost did.
it was trending. I'm pretty sure it was Rise TP for the win.
Yeah, 200 IQ realm warp for the win. And that's demoralizing as the other team. Like, you think you got a team fight won, it's a late game team fight, you need this late game team fight, you need this Elder Dragon, and then those mugs just TP to the Nexus and crush your hopes and dreams. And that's rough. That is a tough pill to swallow. Because it wasn't an open Nexus. They had to fight and take out towers, but it was too late. The reaction time was way too late. And you know they practiced that. You know TSM... The way the team flowed into it and knew exactly what Bjerg was wanting to do, and the way they came together like that, you know that they practiced that. And now that gives another team something else to worry about because everybody does play Rise.
Oh, yeah. They're going to have to spend a ban on that.
Teams prioritize banning out Syndra or Cassiopeia or, and now you got to spend a ban doing that. So how many bans do you spend when you're playing against Bjerg?
He's deadly in almost anything he touches. I mean,
literally is.
If you're going to give up Rise... What, are you going to leave a LeBlanc in for him?
You can't. That's what I'm saying. So how many bans do you use on Bjerg to ban him out? How many bans? This is the problem that teams, when they play a team like SKT, have to focus. Like, what are we comfortable with this dynamic, awesome mid laner playing? I mean, a lot of people are like going, Jensen doesn't get the credit that he deserves, and Jensen may be the new top North American mid laner, and I still feel the best North American mid laner is Bjerg. Granted, Jensen does great with these random picks,
yes.
these fizzes and stuff like that. Bjerg's not going to play that, but he
pulled out Cat in the first game.
He's also on a team that's what they prioritize is these off the wall picks. Bjerg's not. He's on a team where they're like, we're going to put you in something that you're good, and we're going to feed you. Yeah, and so. It's really tough. How many bans are you going to
There was a couple games, though, that Parth in his ban and picks and bans definitely secured the win. And it just feels like they're coming in together now. I think that they're coming together, and we're going to see improvement coming into week 3.
Yeah, the difference between week 1 and week 2 are complete polar opposites, a complete 180. But then again, it's also TSM that we're talking about. So I'm not surprised when I say, oh yeah, they're one of the top 3 best teams in North America, because they're always one of the top 3 best teams in North America, if not the top 2 or the top 1. So
you got to beat them in the finals.
Exactly, and it's only week 2. So before everybody gets all crazy and says this split has been amazing, look at no, it hasn't. It really hasn't. If you look at all the other splits before, I mean, Envy went 4-0 and was hand in hand with TSM, and then look where they fell. And now look at where they're at. I mean, teams are going to be who they are. And you're going to have teams lose against each other. You're going to have teams win against each other. You very rarely have somebody go the entire split without losing. I mean, having Immortals do that or TSM do that.
Yeah, then
that
you
was
get to
impressive.
the end of the split and then P1 beats you. And
yeah, I mean, that's impressive. Now with the new picks and ban system, it's going to show you that it's going to be a lot harder to do. So, I mean,
which brings us into the next team with P1 being the last second place team. Did not see this coming. They just had a stellar weekend. Everything just came together. They pulled out some clutch victories against teams that you definitely didn't expect them to win.
So I wouldn't say we didn't see this coming, because if anybody watched our week 1 video, I think there was these 2 really incredibly intelligent, handsome men saying that because of the new picks and ban system, that P1 could climb. And what have they done? They have climbed, folks. They have climbed indeed.
They had stellar play and good team mechanics, and it didn't seem like there was any kind of hiccup in their game.
And on top of that, the meta right now is carry jungles and Anori, Rengars, Kha'Zix, pretty much the exact same champion doing the exact same thing, and it's pretty unstoppable.
And there's somebody out there right now that had picked these people on their fantasy team and destroyed this weekend.
And literally crushed it because they were impressive.
I think I saw Arrow had like one of the highest ADC points this weekend. So, yeah. I mean, it definitely shows that from week 1 to week 2, we had a whole gambit of different teams step up.
And as the split progresses, and as these, because almost everybody is a new team. Almost everybody except for CLG is a brand new team.
Then or you have has a new player,
or it just has one. And then you have like TSM C9 have one new player, but then everybody else is almost completely revamped. 2, 3 new players, people that don't speak English and things like that. as the split progresses and those communication barriers get broken down, and they're able to communicate, these other teams are going to elevate themselves. They're going to rise up. The middle of the pack is a lot more deadlier than I originally believed. If there was anything that I was wrong about, it was middle of the pack, everything being able to filter out real easy, because that middle of the pack is so deadly. Echo Fox on the upswing. TL on the upswing. Dignitas right there. Immortals right there. I mean, these guys are sitting there. They're right there.
Yeah,
you
but we had some teams. We had some teams that, like Echo Fox, definitely elevated, being 2-2 now. But then I did not expect Dignitas to go and win. Didn't clinch one win this weekend.
They didn't, but they're also in that middle of the pack. I mean, it's just one weekend. Now, if you have 2 or 3 weekends in a row where they don't win, then, maybe Dignitas is who we thought they were. The only 2 teams that have proven 100% that they are who I thought they were is me being a C9 fanboy and C9 being on top, and then me going out and busting out those alarms and saying relegation alert, Envy is gone, because they haven't picked up 1 win, and I don't see that happen when their best player on their team is their ADC.
This was their first weekend of having a full team too.
It's true, problems, and they do have communication issues. But when the best player on your team is your ADC, and your ADC matters almost the least amount on your team, that's really rough. That's really rough.
Yeah, and I think that's going to bring us to the end of the video. If you liked what we were talking about or want to leave a comment, go ahead and drop it at the bottom of the video. Tweet us. Send us a message. Just let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you'd like to see in next week's episode.
So literally, if you like it, like the video. If you disliked it, like the video. If you want to see more of what we have going on, hit that subscribe button. If you don't want to see us anymore, hit that subscribe button. And truly, leave some comments, because how are we going to get better? I mean, our show is still brand new. This is only our 3rd episode, and we need comments. If you're just going to tell us how great we are all the time, which, people do all the time, then we're not going to be able to grow. So, we need some advice. We need some comments. We need you to filter back some information to us. Please hit us up, Twitter us, Facebook. Go to our Facebook page and like that. And we're going to bring extra shows. So,
yeah, and check us out on the weekend. We're going to probably be on Twitch streaming during the games, giving our own little commentary, just reaching out to you guys, talking about what's going on, and feel free to drop in on the channel.
So, good game.
Good game.